And by Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo customers get your 2-for-1 Rockies club level tickets by visiting wellsfargo.com/Rockies. It is another pretty day in South Florida. The Rockies concluding this 3-game set against the Marlins. And with us all weekend has been Taylor McGregor, and she's got a special story about one Chuck Nasty. What do you got, Taylor?
Yeah, so we saw Drew last night, Charlie Blackmon go yard, and there was also another guy in the Marlins who went yard as well, Derek Dietrich. Now they're currently on different benches, but at one point they shared the same uniform down at Georgia Tech. Not only did they share the same uniform, but they were also roommates. It's always fun when we get to talk to one guy about another, and that's exactly what I was able to do with Derek about Charlie. I asked him, hey, are you surprised at all by the success that Charlie Blackmon has had? And he said, you know, not really, but I gotta say, most of my memories of Charlie in college were him studying and not playing baseball.
I always remember him like doing his studies, going to like the library and stuff. When I wanted to go and you know, work at the field and take swings and stuff like that, I think he graduated in a degree in engineering, I believe. And you know, I always remember how smart and how much time he put in the studies. And I was no slouch myself, but you know, that's why I believe that he is as good as he is at this game, because he studies it, he works hard. And he's always looking to find ways to improve.
Now the two actually came onto the hitting scene together. Charlie a few years older than Derek, but his first few years in college were spent as a pitcher. So when Derek was a freshman is when Charlie had gotten tendonitis and decided to pitch. So the two had a lot of baseball conversations, and it certainly worked out for both of them, huh?
Yeah, it worked out very well for both of them. And I believe Charlie got a finance degree, so maybe Dietrich was in the cage hitting when Charlie was actually studying. We have baseball next. Come on back to Miami with us. Mark, that is one of the intentions of Derek Jeter, that the Marlins play games more under the natural sunlight with the roof open. This is just the 62nd time that they've played with the roof open since this ballpark opened in 2012, and it's a completely different feel. That man is Caleb Smith, the left-hander, 26 years of age. He's a native Texan. He's facing Charlie Blackmon. And Charlie takes first pitch inside ball one. Calling balls and strikes this afternoon will be Fielden Colbreth. C.B. Buckner is at first. Chris Conroy at second. Brian Onora is at third. And that's outside, 2-0. You heard Taylor talking about the fact that Charlie and Derek Dietrich both hit home runs yesterday, with Charlie hitting his 9th, 8 of which have come out on the road. He now leads the National League by himself in home runs. Here's the 2-0. And you can hear Fielden Colbreth. He describes it each time. First one was inside, the last two are outside. Now Smith, Spilly said, 10 strikeouts, no walks against the Brewers in 6 innings. in his last outing. His previous outing, though, he walked 5 in the Bronx against the Yankees.
That's what you have to pay attention to if you're the Rockies, is if he has his command. Typically, you can get on a pitcher early as they're settling in, figuring out where the rhythm, where the release point is.
3-1, and Charlie pops this one up to left field. Coming on is Derek Dietrich, wouldn't you know it? So Dietrich makes the catch, 1 out, and that'll bring up Ian Desmond. Let's take a look at the Rockies lineup as written out this morning by Buddy Black. Nolan will follow Desmond. Trevor Story will bat cleanup. David Dahl's back in the starting lineup. Noel Cuevas in right field. Pat Valleca for DJ LeMahieu. He's still day-to-day with that hamstring situation. Tony Walters doing the catching today. And Chad Bettis is on the mound. Desi threw out a double yesterday in the ball game. It came right after the home run by Charlie made it 3-1. It looked like the Rockies had the momentum. Unfortunately, even though Story had a hit right behind it, first and third, Rockies did not score. And that has been an issue not only in this series, but really all year. Bunching hits, getting key hits. We addressed that at the top of the broadcast. The Rockies just 2 for 17 with runners in scoring position in this series. Desi fouls that fastball back. You see he's got a big arm. He's 92 to as high as 97 with the fastball. At a Sam Houston State, Huntsville, Texas.
I love stories like this. He was drafted 14th round back in 2013. Made his major league debut last year with the Yankees. Base hit for Ian.
Yeah,
nice.
Behind in the count, 0-2. That has been, you know, something you addressed, that the Rockies are last in baseball hitting with 2 strikes. So Desi with a 1-out knock. Let's take a look at our Conoco numbers on Caleb Smith.
He's making his 9th major league start. He's 0-4 in his career, 6.69 ERA in 2 seasons. A lot of strikeouts. 21 innings, 32 strikeouts, but he has a pretty high walk rate. The arsenal is about 50-50 with his fastball and off-speed pitches. That fastball can touch, as Drew just mentioned, 97 miles an hour. His best secondary pitch, the one he wants to get to, is this changeup.
So here's Nolan. Caleb Smith holding. Nolan's got to call time. He got that internal clock. So Nolan steps out. This is how you know that Marlins Park has been not very kind to Rockies hitters. Nolan hits everywhere, right? Nolan in his career in 72 at-bats at Marlins Park is hitting 181. He does not have a hit yet in this series.
In my mind, he has 2 homers. He squared up 2 baseballs deep into left center field, and it is well past 390 feet to left center with some humidity. The ball just doesn't carry. That's why, when I think back to the season Giancarlo Stanton had last year, 59 home runs. I mean, that's the equivalent of 70, 80.
1 ball, 1 strike. Rockies in the middle of a 3-game set where they'll see all lefties. John Lester will open up that series in Chicago tomorrow night at Wrigley for the Cubs. Rockies are used to seeing lefties. They've been better against lefties this year than righties. We were discussing that yesterday. But you see so many lefties in the division. Dodgers, seems like that's all they have. Padres have a couple of lefties in their rotation. Of course, Corbin and Ray down in Arizona. Ball and 2 strikes.
For the Win is brought to you by Pizza Ranch. We were talking about hitting with 2 strikes. The Rockies 139 average with 2 strikes. That's going to bump up a little bit with Ian Desmond's base hit. That's last in Major League Baseball. Now you may be asking, well, how do you trim up a swing with 2 strikes? What do you have to do? Sometimes it's as simple as just trimming up your swing, lessening the mechanics, try not to hit it so hard.
You don't see this very frequently, Spilly, at this level where you don't really have a book on a guy. Caleb Smith's a young pitcher when it comes to big league experience. But on the other side, the Marlins haven't really seen Chad Bettis either. Another 1-2. That's up 2-2. Smith, a heavy dose of fastballs early against this Rockies lineup. Nolan hitting .316, top 10 in the National League in hitting in the early going. 4 home runs, he's driven in 12. And he's gone on a pitch out of the strike zone. So that's 2 outs, and that'll bring up Trevor Story. Let's take a look at the Marlins defensively. JT Realmuto, they need his bat in the lineup, so he's making his 9th career start at first base. Dietrich, Brinson, and Maben in the outfield. Brian Anderson's at third. Rojas and Castro, all 3 days, form the double play combination up the middle. And the former TCU star, Brian Holiday's behind the plate. So here's Trevor riding a 7-game hitting streak. That's the longest hitting streak for any Rocky this year. Outside. So Spill, you stole some bases. When you had a lefty and you got to go first move and you try to determine it, were you one of those guys, if he looks at me, he's going to the plate. If he looks at the plate, he's going to first? Do you buy into that?
Not always, but there's also times where you just get the sign from the third base coach to steal, and you're hoping that the manager's guessing right. Typically, if you're stealing off a lefty, you're just going first movement.
It's been fastball changeup so far. 1 ball, 1 strike. 2 outs, Desmond at first. He takes off, and Holiday's throw is on the bag, and Desmond is out. So the Rockies done in the first inning as Desmond is cut down trying to steal. And we'll see Chad Bettis when we return to South Florida. Through Chicago and New York to take on the Mets. There's our Conoco look at Chad Bettis. And Chad making his 6th start of the year. He's trying to go to 4-0, great ERA. And the league hitting just .210 against him. Interesting lineup that he'll face today. It is overloaded with right-handed bats. Normally you say, hey, right-handed pitcher, the opposition's going to throw a bunch of lefties out there. They're trying to see if the right-hand bats will handle the changeup more effectively than left-handed bats.
It's interesting thought process. If you look at the numbers for Chad Bettis against lefties, they're hitting below 200. Righties are hitting about 230.
Well, here are the splits against Chad. Just as Billy was talking about, lefties below 200. And not that righties are exactly scalding the baseball, but Don Mattingly saying, you know what? I'm going to go with an all-righty lineup. Some of it was forced on him because Justin Bohr is still down with a sore back. And that's certainly a left-handed bat that would be in there. But he could have played J.B. Shuck today, and Shuck's not in the lineup.
I think he said Shucks.
Yeah, well, maybe. Do you stay up late at night writing these down?
No, it just comes to my...
It becomes naturally, doesn't it?
It's like a hamster on
part of your brilliance. 2 balls, 2 strikes, and this is fisted to short. Story's got it, and he throws across. You know, if you're an infielder, you always want to get ground balls, right? Unless things aren't going well, but you want to get one early. So Story got that out of the way. 1 gone. Let's take a look at the Marlins lineup. Written out this morning as well by Don Mattingly. Derek Dietrich will bat second. Starlin Castro, Brian Anderson, Cameron Maben in the middle portion of the lineup. Then it's Rojas, Brinson, Brian Holiday, and Caleb Smith. So Dietrich, the only left-handed bat in the lineup. Homered left on left for the 2nd time this year against Mike Dunn. He went down and got a slider that looked like it was below the knees when he hit it.
Right where a lefty likes it. Up enough that he could get his swing underneath the baseball and at the velocity. I mean, those are home run pitches. Pitchers know out of the hand. I've actually heard pitchers release a pitch and yell at themselves while the ball's in mid-flight because they know it's going to get crushed.
You know what's interesting? I would say more often than not, when we show highlights, or if you're watching highlights late at night, if you're watching quick pitch, look at it. When a pitcher gives up a bomb, watch the pitcher. They don't look. They know.
Yeah, right out of the hand.
You know, if the ball's in the air, a lot of times a pitcher will turn no point, you know, trying to, in his mind, help out the fielder. But they know when it's over the wall. Change up down low.
Oh, Chad went for the first time I've ever seen Chad Bettis go to a quick pitch changeup. Never seen him do that. And part of the reason why Dietrich has a big leg kick. He starts it early, hangs.
3-2. That was absolutely filthy. You talk about the bottom dropping out. Dietrich's looking back and saying, hey, what am I supposed to do with that? Knee high the whole way, Spilly, and it disappeared.
Well, here's how he sets him up. Here's the quick pitch changeup. He sees it down. Now it's a 3-2 count. He's going to go back to the changeup and see you later.
Starlin Castro, 2 outs and nobody on. And that's right at the bottom of the zone. You see Tony Walters. He works so well ground up. You don't usually think about that from a catching standpoint. You always talk about it from an infielder standpoint. Of course, Tony was a terrific middle infielder before being converted by the Indians, and Terry Francona behind the plate. Got great hands. The Rockies are 7-2 with Tony starting behind the dish. And here is a look at the Rockies defense. So there's David Dahl. He had a pinch hitting appearance last night and was hit by a pitch. He's in left field. Blackman and Cuevas in the outfield as well. Valleca's at second again. And this is Nolan. And it's a great start. 1-2-3 beginning for Chad Bettis. So we'll go to the 2nd. Nothing yet determined or decided in South Florida. No score. No scores. We go to the top of the second inning. Folks, if the Rockies score 7 runs or more, go to participating Colorado Taco Bell locations the following day. Do it between 4 and 6 to receive your Rockies Taco Special. Live Moss at Taco Bell. We didn't get to see South Beach on this particular trip, did we?
I was thinking about it on Thursday, but ended up heading with Brian Jones, Rockies video coordinator, to see a former teammate, Matt Holliday.
I've heard of him. First pitch swinging, and Trevor Story hits it high in the air near the line, and it's caught out there by Dietrich. How's Matt Holliday doing?
He's doing great. It's good to see him. He lives in Jupiter.
He's still big and strong?
Does the Pope wear a funny hat?
He's working out, though. He's hoping for the phone to ring.
I think he's in shape. He's going to see how things play out. I mean, obviously, you'd like to finish your career on your own terms, not on somebody else's.
Here's David Dahl. David takes a strike.
It's really hard to gauge at this field, Drew, if a ball's squared up or not. I feel like the last ball that Trevor Story just hit was not far missed from the barrel. And that was a ball that Dietrich didn't even have to go back for.
Brian Anderson was guarding against the bunt the first 2 pitches. They were both strikes, and now he goes over and replaces Rojas on the right side. Rojas goes back to a shortstop spot. Fastball off the plate there. 1-2. There's the alignment. The only thing that's changed is the guy that's just to the left of second base. There's the second strikeout for Caleb Smith, and that'll bring up Cuevas. I thought Cuevas last night, Spill, you look at the box score, he's 0 for 3 and a walk, but I thought actually got hit. I actually thought he had good passes last night, and there were a couple of balls that he just barely missed.
There's a ball he hit to left field in the 5th inning that I thought he hit out. That's what I'm saying. I can't tell how much this field is preventing offense. Should be an easy out.
Realmuto makes the catch, and that was a quick inning for Caleb Smith. Just a handful of pitches. The Rockies go in order in the second. Trying to steal as we go to the bottom of the second inning. Fans join in on the conversation. Send us your statements, your questions, your photos. Use Twitter and include the hashtag Toyota Talk. Then you're in business. With Ryan Spilborghs and Taylor McGregor, I'm Drew Goodman. And the first pitch, breaking ball, is right in the heart of the Subaru strike zone, but it wasn't called a strike. And that looked like it at the bottom of the zone. It wasn't called a strike. We're going to call it 0-2.
Yep. We're going to use our own Subaru strike zone.
Cutter. Chad Bettis has an arsenal now that's like, and I'm not, I said this before about him, I'm not putting him, you can't put a guy in Greg Maddox's class, but he pitches like Greg Maddox. Nothing straight. Now he gets a pitch that probably was off the plate in. So it's 2-2 on Brian Anderson. Brian, welcome to sunny South Florida. And a ground ball toward the middle of the diamond, and it'll find its way through. One of those 18 hoppers. So Brian Anderson, a lead single in front of Cameron Maben.
You like Greg Maddox. I've told Chad personally, I think he has the same stuff, repertoire, when you look at movement, arm action, as Zach Greinke. And the difference between Greinke and Bettis is just pitch sequences, and Greinke's as good as it comes to being able to locate the baseball. But if you're looking at stuff, it's a 4-pitch mix. You can throw off-speed pitches at any time.
Maben tries to bunt his way on and fouls it off. Cameron Maben has been around. He was a very high draft pick. He's out of Asheville, North Carolina. And of course, the Rockies single A affiliate in the Sally League's been in Asheville forever. But Darren Holmes, who runs the bullpen for the Rockies, runs the mechanics for all the pitchers, is very, very close with Cameron. I'll tell you a story here in a sec. Here's the 0-1. 1-1. They went to the same high school, obviously different time frame. Darren was back in Asheville, where he is in the offseason. It's his home. Same with Cameron Maben, who told me earlier today, he goes, I'll never leave. It's his hometown. And the first time he met Maben, he was holding a hitting clinic. Runner going, fouled off.
Darren Holmes was?
Darren Holmes running a hitting clinic. But, you know, even though he's a pitcher, he's a big league guy. So his high school coach said, you got to see something. And he called him over, and it was to look at this 12-year-old who was taking swings. The 12-year-old was Cameron Maben. He was already about 6 feet tall. And he said, who does that look like? And Holmes, as it said, it looks like Vladimir Guerrero. And then you fast forward. This ball's well hit to left. Dahl going back, and he reaches up and makes a great catch. What a jump. And it's nice to have the closing speed of David Dahl. He took a double away from Maben.
It's just a perfect read from David Dahl on a ball that's squared up. Again, this ballpark is just preventing runs. This is typically a double. Love the closing speed from Dahl, but more importantly, I love the route. He was direct, he was straight at it, and he gave himself the best opportunity to make that play because of his route.
He made it look somewhat easy. And Spilly, I don't know how many left fielders make that catch. You would know better than I would. I mean, that's not an easy play.
This is the hardest play for a left fielder. A line drive hit directly at you. Maybe great swing, Vladimir Guerrero. But he waits till the last second to reach up, which allows him to run at his natural pace. A lot of times you'll see a left fielder stick their glove up while they're still running, and it'll slow them down.
Anderson takes off, ground ball toward third. They'll still try to get one there, safe onto first. The out recorded there. The Rockies will probably, Brian Jones will take a look at this. He was bang bang on the force at second. With Anderson running, Nolan still took a shot at it. At the very least, it'll be a 5-4-3 out at first.
Well, years ago, Valleca would be somewhere in left field. A base runner would probably have slid and tried to take him out. We'll see how close it is to getting him. No, I don't think the throw beat him.
So you don't see that very frequently. So with 2 outs, Lewis Brinson will come up, and Anderson's at second. So to finish at least part of the story, Holmes and Maben develop a very close relationship to this day. They live a mile apart. They spend time with each other in the off season. In fact, he just built a brand new house, talking about Maben, in Asheville, and he called up Holmes one day. He said, "You got to come over." And he goes, "All right, what do you got?" And he said, "You got to check this out." And he comes over to the house and he shows him his man cave downstairs. And he has all these, like a lot of you guys, I know you've done it, jerseys from,
Sure,
he's collected that are autographed. So Darren and Cameron went to work on putting together his whole man cave in his house. But he went on to be a star at the same high school, T.C. Robinson in Asheville. And Darren, at that time, was the pitching coach for the high school team. And Maben would come in from center field in the 7th inning, which is, as most of you know, in high school, you play 7 innings. And he would close, and he was 94-95 on the mound.
I told you, Maben was our bat boy in Asheville when I was in Nashville in 2003.
Brinson fouls it off. It remains 1-2.
I've shared the story. He was 16 years old, taking batting practice at Asheville.
Nobody wanted to be in his group.
It was unfair. He's hitting with a wooden bat. I'm out of college, and I can't even keep up with a 16-year-old. And it made me question myself, which I often do.
And you should. You know what that story, though, in all seriousness, reminds me of? Bo Bichette. This is ripped foul past Freddie Gonzalez. Bo Bichette, when Dante was the Rockies hitting coach for that season, was 15. And Bo would regularly hit in the last group with a wood bat. He's a 15-year-old. And he's hitting balls, you know, up on the concourse.
What?
I'm serious. Mark McGuire came out. He was with the Dodgers then, and I was standing next to him, and I said, "This is Dante's kid. He's 15. He said, "No way." And he went over and started telling the story to other players and coaches. And then you, again, fast forward with Bo Bichette. He's one of the top prospects in baseball. So the guy that you were hitting with when you were a pro in the Sally League, Cameron Maben, was really gifted, obviously.
I was just happy he got signed in the first round. It made me feel better.
There's a base hit to right. Cuevas on one hop, comes up throwing. Anderson on the way to the plate, not going to get him. Walters throwing a second, not going to get that runner either, and it's 1-0 Miami on a 2-out single by Brinson.
Marlins jumping on board first, a hanging curveball off the plate. Brinson with 2 strikes, shooting it to right field. Now it's so important why Anderson making it to second on time save. Cuevas does a good job trying to get to this errant throw, though. That'll happen when you're trying to run straight through the baseball.
Inside on Brian Holiday, 1-0 Miami. Brinson, for the first time in his young career, has produced a hit in 3 straight games with that knock to right. Chad wants that pitch back. You described it very well, Spilly. It was a hanger, and he was ahead in the count. 1-1.
The Rockies, when the opponent scores first, are 3-9 on the year.
Brian Holiday has been with Detroit, Texas, Boston. Signed as a minor league free agent in the offseason with Miami. 1-2.
I point out that Bud Black was just given a warning by Fielding Colbreth, the home plate umpire. But he's not happy with some of the borderline pitches that haven't gone Chad's way.
Right at Charlie in center field, he'll make the catch. In the inning, there was a base hit by Anderson, and ultimately he would score on a base hit by Lewis Brinson. T-Mobile. It was a little sketchy last night for the Giants. They were well behind, so they turned to Kung Fu Panda. Pablo Sandoval pitched a 1-2-3 inning against the Dodgers last night. He had 88 with a sinking fastball. He also threw a pretty good hook. And you know what? He could have flipped around and thrown the ball lefty also.
That's right.
He's ambidextrous, legitimately.
And he can breathe underwater.
Right. Rockies down 1-0. Bottom third of their order in the third against Caleb Smith, Pat Valaika, Tony Walters, and Bettis. Valaika last night, starting at second base for LeMahieu, went 1 for 4. He had a leadoff double in the third inning, and the Rockies could not cash that in.
I'd really like to see the Rockies respond offensively. The offense is putting a lot of pressure on the Rockies starters to be perfect, and he can't be.
Rockies won 1-0 Friday, lost 4-1 last night. That's a strike. And that is lathered to left, but it was hit so well that Dietrich is able to catch it. He hit it on the nose. Hard out. That'll bring up Walters. You can tell Valaika's getting close to throwing out some multi-hit games. Pat started slow, but he's been bunching some at-bats, and they look a whole lot better.
This has bad aim.
Breaking ball for a strike, going 1. Two strikes.
Looking at Valaika's numbers, he's a 143 batting average ball in play right now. League average is about 300.
One and 2 on Tony. Good eye. 2-2.
Right at the bottom of the Subaru strike zone, so it's going both ways for the Marlins and the Rockies as far as the strike zone is concerned. Field and Culver, very tight zone so far.
Tony lines this to left, but Dietrich is there again. The Rockies, 2 quality swings, nothing to show for it here in the third.
Rockies gift cards are a great gift for all Rockies fans. Gift cards can be purchased in multiple denominations and can be redeemed for game tickets at the Rockies Dugout Store or for merchandise and concessions at Coors Field.
Outside ball 1 on Chad. He has 1 hit this year.
So far I have 1, 2, 3, 4 baseballs squared up to left field with nothing to show for it on both sides. Cameron may have been, that was a double, at least a double.
Middle of the plate at 94. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Well, somebody's wearing a t-shirt.
Change up in the dirt. We don't know if that's the guy because we can't see the back of the jersey.
I would expect it to have a lot more holes in it.
Why is that?
Because I haven't played since 2011.
Maybe he takes special care of it. That's all for the Rockies. 7 straight retired by Caleb Smith. He has 3 strikeouts, first time through the order. The Marlins have a 1-0 lead.
Rockies down 1-0 in the bottom of the third. You guys, it's fun to be in Miami for a lot of different reasons, but Rockies coaches enjoying the chance to catch up with some of their former players. Take a look at this, who was in the house this weekend, Juan Pierre, who is now a special assistant with the Miami Marlins, catching up with some of his former guys, Ron Gideon, Stu Cole, Tony Diaz. A lot of fond memories he has of being a Colorado Rocky. Now, Juan went on to win a World Series with the Marlins, but he had to say some of his best memories were from when he was a Rocky.
I remember just in the minor leagues dreaming one day of being a Rocky. You know, that's why I almost cried when I got traded, because in my mind I was like, I'll be a Rocky for life. And like I said before, I get chills every time I see the Rockies uniform, because that's where it all started. That's how I learned how to be a big leaguer on and off the field, was with the Colorado Rockies.
Now, something else I got to say, too, he mentioned how he almost cried when he got traded, but my dad did cry when he got traded. Him and Juan used to work out, have a lot of meaningful conversation. I remember as a young athlete, my dad would say, hey, model yourself after what Juan Pierre does on the field. He works really hard, but he's also a really good guy, and I think everybody around him knew that. So although my dad was sad when he got traded, we were also excited to see him win a World Series with the Marlins in 2003, you guys.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Taylor, he is one of my personal favorite people I've ever met in baseball. He is a wonderful human being. His work ethic, we've talked about it, it's legendary. Todd Helton has said, and he's on record as saying he's my favorite teammate of all time. I'll tell you a great story to embellish what Taylor was talking about as Caleb Smith hits one into the camera well. Dwayne Espy, who's been around baseball forever. Dwayne was the hitting coach for the San Diego Padres. And of course, he had a guy by the name of Tony Gwynn, who was one of the all-time great hitters. And it was very early in Juan Pierre's career with the Rockies. And Tony periodically would go out very early and hit off the tee on the field. He wanted to see where the ball was going off the tee. And they were getting ready to do that one day. It would be Dwayne and Tony Gwynn. And Tony said, you know what? He said, we can't do it today. And Dwayne said, why not? And he said, see that kid across the way? He's waiting for me. He's in a Rockies uniform. It was Juan Pierre. And he said, well, we can get it done. We'll get it done. He'll wait. And he goes, no, he goes, you don't understand. This kid is really special. He goes, I'm going to go down there right now. He went down and visited, Tony Gwynn did, with Juan. And 2 hours later, Dwayne came back on the field to get some work in with some other guys, and they were still conversing. Caleb Smith is gone. And Tony Gwynn, Dwayne knew Tony exceptionally well. He said, you know, Tony, as we all know, loved the game, was passionate about talking about hitting, but he wanted to make sure that whoever he was speaking with shared that same passion and the same work ethic. He saw it very early on in Juan Pierre, and that's why he was so giving of his time to this young player that he didn't really know, but had heard about. One out, JT Realmuto hit a ground ball to short his first time.
There are stories of Juan Pierre showing up to spring training before anybody else was there and already working up a lather, having bunted hundreds of baseballs.
Mike Redmond took a lot of pride in being the first one at the facility, and he said, I'd show up, and he said Juan was already here, and you could hear the pounding going on in the batting cage. He was bunting off the machine. It's a 1-out single for Realmuto. And a very famous story, Buddy Bell, when he was the manager of the Rockies. You know how precious, Billy, you can tell people how precious the planned day off is in spring training, where there's no spring training games. You just don't go to the facility, and you circle that on the calendar, right? Like in magic marker, the first thing you see when you get the schedule for the spring. And Buddy Bell told Juan, because he knew he'd go to the facility even on the day off. He said, Juan, I've never done this before. He said, but if I hear that you show up here in Tucson tomorrow, I'm going to fine you.
Did he go to a different camp?
He probably did. He put the Bobby Valentine fake mustache on and went across town to the White Sox camp. 1 ball, 1 strike on Derek Dietrich. Taylor, you have a little bit more on JP?
Yeah, you guys kept talking about what a hard worker he was, and get this number. Take a look at the graphic on your screen. From 2003 to 2007, he did not miss a game, and he had the most consistent games played during that time in Major League Baseball, which is also pretty impressive when you remember the type of player he was, because he was known for his speed. He had 614 stolen bases in his career, which is 18th most in Major League Baseball history. So guys, for a player like that to be so consistently, I think, again, is just a testament to the kind of hard worker he was.
There was a year, Taylor, he didn't miss an inning. He played every single inning, in addition to, it's one thing, okay, sometimes there's a blowout either way, and the manager will get you off your feet for a couple, 3 innings. He never came out.
Never came out.
Played every single inning. I'll tell you something else you may not know about Juan Pierre and what a great career he had. 614 bags, as Taylor mentioned. How about over 2,200 hits? Three and 1 on Dietrich. And this is in the air to David Dahl. And that's the 2nd out here in the 3rd. That'll bring up Starlin Castro. Realmuto remains at first.
Well, I know, talking to Juan Pierre, to kind of wrap this whole thing up, one of his highlights, there's a famous Jay-Z song where there's a rap lyric. I used to run the bases like Juan Pierre, and if you ask him about it, it's incredible to think that a kid from where he grew up and the career that he's had, and to have a song, you're forever remembered.
Pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
Product of the University of South Alabama. That's a strike on Castro. Curveballs taken off the plate, 1-1. Well, it's been fun this weekend in catching up with the two all-time Rockies, Juan Pierre and Larry Walker on Friday. Jenny did a great interview with Walker.
Well, the pace has slowed down for Chad Bettis.
That is an easy play for Nolan. He'll run it halfway there and throw across and gets Castro. There was a one-out hit. Real Muto's left on base. We move on to inning number 4. The Rockies trailing 1-0. Top of the order. Charlie Blackmon next. Sportsnet is brought to you by Subaru. Love. It's what makes a Subaru a Subaru. By Papa John's. Use code ROXWIN for 50% off pizzas at papajohns.com the next day. And by StubHub. Rockies fans, get your tickets at StubHub, official partner of the Colorado Rockies. One nothing as we go to the top of the 4th inning. Charlie Blackmon hit a fly ball to left against Caleb Smith. Smith has allowed a base hit to Ian Desmond, and that's it. He has 3 strikeouts first time through the lineup. Former Yankee draft pick who was traded in the offseason by the Yankees for a minor leaguer. One of those deals that doesn't get much attention. Here's the 0-1. The Marlins really like this kid's arm. In fact, we had mentioned that originally Yarlin Garcia was supposed to go, and he has a 1 ERA. And they just pushed Garcia back. This is down the third base line. It's at least a single. Dietrich hustling to the baseball, and he's going to hold his former roommate to a single. So the Rockies had the leadoff man aboard. Just to finish that story about Garcia and Smith, but Don Mattingly is so intrigued by Smith, and he says he's earned the right to stay in this rotation, and that's why Smith is starting today and not Garcia.
We always point out, don't let a record fool you. 8-18 on the season for the Marlins. However, the last 6 games, Marlins starters have gone at least 6 innings, giving up 2 earned runs or fewer.
And if you look at the last 5, it's 1 earned run or less. Not quite a run with starting pitching. Desi tried to at least give the impression he was going to bunt. In the last 6 games, they have a 1.57 ERA with their rotation, and the opposition hitting just 174 against them. And the Rockies understand that. They haven't done anything offensively in this series. skips up there, and it's 2-0. Desi's base hit came on a firm ground ball up the middle.
Looking down at Stu Cole. Stu Cole basically said 2-0, get a pitch you want. Crush it.
You've talked a lot about Desi's timing just being off a smidgen. 2 balls and a strike. And we have talked about the inordinate number of ground balls the last 2 years for Desmond, much higher than his career rate. He has not put a ball in play in the air to left field this year.
If you remember, Michael Kadire a couple years ago wanted to take a fastball, no matter where it was pitched, and hit it as hard as he could to right field. His pulled baseballs would be on off-speed pitches.
And he offered at it 2-2.
And I've heard Ian Desmond say the same thing. I want to take a fastball and crush it towards right field. But it is rare that you'd see close to 100 at bats that you don't have one baseball pulled in the air to left.
Swung on and missed. 1 out, and that'll bring up Nolan. Fourth strikeout for Caleb Smith.
Well, we know that the Marlins don't play with the roof open too often. We're noticing some of the fans trying to come up with creative ways to have some shade. I'm curious to see how the shadows are playing for the hitters right now, because the roof is starting to creep into the batter's box. Now, for at this time right now, it's okay.
Did you find on those late afternoon games at Coors Field, because that's where the shadows come in at 20th and Blake, that it was more difficult to pick up spin, or did it affect you more with the fastball?
You just can't see the baseball. You can't see spin. I mean, that's number one, but it's harder and harder to just see the ball. There's times where you go, I didn't even see it. It's harder when a pitcher has the shadows across the mound. You can have shadows in the batter's box, but shadows when it starts creeping onto the mound and you have a bright ball and then it goes to dark, that's where it becomes difficult.
This is a towering fly ball to shallow center. Brinson's got it, 2 outs. And that'll bring up Trevor Story. You almost sit and watch this here at Marlins Park, and you know the history, and we've done so many games here where it's gone just like this, you know, a hit here, a hit there, and you look at how the Rockies have scored their runs this year. A high percentage have come off the home run, and you want to see them get to the point where they're putting 3, 4, 5 hits together and putting up, you know, 3, 4, 5 runs in an inning, because a multitude of players are involved. But you look at this situation, you say, man, you hope for a bloop and a blast, because it just doesn't appear like you're going to be able to bunch hits.
You'd like to see some walks. You'd like to see a ball in the dirt, take an extra base.
Blackman a leadoff single, but now there's 2 outs, and he's still at first with Story at the plate. And this is Fly ball to left. Dietrich's got it, and the Rockies are done in their half of the fourth. It remains 1-0. Lewis Brinson base hit with 2 outs in the second inning to score Brian Anderson. And it'll be Brian Anderson to lead off in the fourth. Then Maben and Rojas. Chad Bettis' first pitch is a fastball that's high. No swing according to CB Buckner down at first. Two and 0. Since this ballpark opened in 2012, the Rockies have never won 2 consecutive games here in the same year.
And how about the Arizona Diamondbacks leading the National League West right now? They have not lost a series the entire season.
Yep, they're playing very well. They're pitching very well, which if you win, you got to pitch well. 2-2. Here's the NL West standings. So the Diamondbacks off to a fabulous start. The Rockies behind them. The Giants, the Dodgers, and the Padres.
You can see the difference maybe on the screen. There's cloud cover now, so the shadows are out of play. Let's see if that helps the hitters. I do think there's a little bit of an effect with the shadows coming into play. I've seen some check swings.
Left field playable on the track in left center for David Dahl. 1 out.
The 2018 Colorado Rockies Youth Baseball Camp for boys and girls ages 8 through 13 will take place June 19th and 20th. Registration begins on May 8th. And that ball right there, that's the 5th hit that I have now. Baseball driven towards left center field that has been caught. Off the bat, I thought it was hit a lot better.
Maben takes strike 1. No. Maben pops this one up to shallow center. And Valleca makes the catch. Two gone. Miguel Rojas will come up. This ball to deep left. Dahl back, and it's gone. Just over the wall. And Rojas makes it 2-0 with his 4th home run of the year. He had 4 career home runs entering the season.
A little cloud cover. You can see the baseball a little bit better. Rojas gets the bat head out in front. This baseball just barely squeaked out. Thought David Dahl had a chance to catch it.
Ball and a strike on Lewis Brinson. Charlie makes the catch in the inning, a solo home run from Miguel Rojas, and now the Rockies trail 2-0 as we go to the 5th. They'll have David Dahl to lead it off. Top of the 5th inning, Dahl, Cuevas, and Valleca. Time to check our Rockies news and notes, brought to you by All Copy. Cargo eligible to come off the disabled list today. He was running and doing some fielding drills before the ball game today. Obviously, he was not activated yet. It probably will come in the next couple of days. DJ LeMahieu, he still is nursing that hamstring and hopefully can avoid a DL stint. Tyler Anderson is scheduled to make his next start. He had to leave in the 2nd inning with some issues trying to catch his breath. Kyle Freeland was hit on his foot in the last start, stayed in the ballgame. He is starting tomorrow to open that series at Wrigley. Here's a good curveball for strike 1 on Dahl. Dahl struck out his first time up. Rockies have 2 singles, a Desmond hit in the 1st and a Blackman hit leading off the 4th. And no swing. That was close. Dahl may have caught a break on that.
I think he did too. He's
Brian O'Nora at 3rd gave the safe sign. I thought from up here he may have gone. Fortunately, it was called no swing. Here's the 1-1.
Well, Caleb Smith doing a good job keeping the Rockies hitters off balance. Really using a mix of 3 pitches, fastball, slider, and changeup. The thing is even with his big fastball, 94 miles an hour, he's only throwing fastball about 50% of the time.
And he got him on a slider, and that's his 5th strikeout. Well, Spilly, periodically throughout the season, this season, last season, any season, you're going to have that that time where you go, okay, yeah, some guys have pitched well against us, but we got to stop tipping the cap.
we talk about that all the time. You don't want to consistently tip the cap. At some point, you have to be better than the group that you're facing. And I think when you're looking at the talent level, many people in baseball have looked at this lineup and said, hey, this is a very athletic, very good group of hitters, but they're not living up to it yet. And I think you can look at some of the numbers in baseball in general. Batting average is down league-wide 10 points. And so it's league-wide, but as a group, you still want to be better than that. And the Rockies, I think, at some point are going to put their foot down and give those quality at-bats. I just feel like there's several players right now that are struggling mechanically, and it's all at the same time.
And when you take a DJ LeMahieu out of the lineup, not to mention the threat of a Carlos Gonzalez, it's going to have an adverse effect. And Noel Cuevas has gone on 3 pitches. And these innings are going quickly. Pat Valaika now with 2 outs and nobody on.
That's a great point, Drew. I think when you look at this lineup right now, is this the Rockies' best lineup?
Well, with the available people, Buddy again has LeMahieu down and Cargo on the DL. But you look at things, Charlie's off to a solid start.
Sure.
You know, Nolan's off to a solid start. He hasn't gotten hot yet. At home, he was really good, 10 out of 21 with 3 home runs. DJ off to, you know, those 3 guys have done what you'd expect them to do. Most everybody else, and again, it's not about pointing fingers,
no,
has yet to hit their stride offensively or anywhere close. And that's why overall you say, hey, given that the Rockies are 15 and 13, that's really good. It's just frustrating. You know, you're sitting on your couch right now on a Sunday morning, early afternoon, you're watching, you're saying, you know, how in the world back-to-back games can the Rockies struggle so much against, you know, this young Marlins team? And that is strike 3. And once again, another strikeout for Smith. He fans the side. He has 7 strikeouts. Marlins up 2-0. Question, go to AT&T Sportsnet RM on Twitter to cast your vote. We'll show you the results during the post-game show later this afternoon. Should the center field sculpture in Marlins Park be removed? Yes, it's an eyesore. No, it's Miami Flair. Well, Art is in the
eye of the
beholder. This is on the ground to short, and Story will throw out Holiday. 1 out. It's different. It's not necessarily my cup of tea, but somebody worked very hard on that. I don't know about tearing it out.
I like making fun of it. I mean, It gives it gives character to this field.
It certainly makes it unique, and one of the things they endeavored to do, and well they should, when they built Marlins Park, was make it look like and reflect the culture of South Florida. Yeah, so, you know, they got the fish tank behind the plate. You have the sculpture out there in center field. 2 outs. Smith thrown out by Tony Walters.
Yeah, when I heard they were thinking about removing the sculpture, I thought, oh, no, you can't do that. What am I going to make fun of every time we come to Marlins Park? Take away a source of my humor.
We'd never want to do that. JT Realmuto is 1 for 2. He singled in the third, also a ground ball to short. Realmuto was not only a great high school baseball player. We talked about the 28 home runs in 42 games his senior year, but he was a tremendous high school quarterback. Fastball with a lot of run on it. It's inside, 1-1. Every time you can hear the South Carolina accent of Fielding Colbreth describing the pitch.
Hey.
1-2. '75th pitch, and Chad goes with the quick pitch changeup. 2-2.
Second time today we've seen him use that pitch.
Good spot. It's not as if Chad has pitched poorly. He's been nicked for a couple of runs. Single with 2 outs by Brinson, and the solo home run by Rojas. 2 runs, 4 hits. 2 outs, nobody on. 2-2 count in the bottom of the 5th.
If I told you in a 3-game series that the Rockies pitching staff would give up 5 runs, would you be happy with that?
Of course. Take that every series. If you told me the Rockies offense would have produced so far,
really, it's 1 run.
2 runs.
1 run. I'm giving credit to
on 13 hits.
Senzatella.
Swung on and missed. I would not take that. Good inning for Chad Bettis. We'll go to the 6th. The Rockies
look at that thing.
Produce some fireworks.
Look at that sculpture. Fire up the sculpture.
With timeless moment. Remember this? Chipper, the Hall of Famer, lines out. And Tulo's tagging everybody, stepping on the bags, trying to get a fourth out also. An unassisted triple play, the 13th in Major League history. Rockies would go on to prevail that afternoon, 9-7. We go to the 6th inning. Tony Walters will lead off. Bettis on deck, 8-9-1. Tony lined out to left. He had one of the better at-bats against Caleb Smith so far in this ball game. On the bottom portion of the plate in the strike zone, it's 1-1. That's inside, 2-1.
Right at the bottom of the Subaru strike zone. A couple close pitches. Whatever Caleb Smith, the adjustment he made before his last start in Milwaukee, because 2 starts before that, he's pitching at Yankee Stadium, walks 5.
This is on the ground to second, gobbled up by Castro, 1 out. Well, 2 veteran managers now. Donnie Mattingly apprenticed under Joe Torre for a long period of time. And you may be wondering, and if you weren't, we're going to show you, how'd they do when they faced each other in the 80s and early 90s? Well, Black had Donnie Baseball's number. Just 8 for 39. Mattingly did hit a couple home runs against Buddy. Left on left. Mattingly holds the edge as managers head-to-head. Some of those really good Dodger teams he had. Always enjoy seeing Donnie Baseball. Good man.
Great
Tremendous
man.
athlete. You know, he was a very good high school pitcher. In fact, our Warren Miller, who is the best in the business in terms of media relations, used to be with the Padres, in fact. And we've been fortunate to have him with the Rockies the last several years as Chad strikes out. He grew up in northern Kentucky, and he remembers seeing Donnie when he was in high school in Evansville pitching.
Really?
Yes.
I had this flip book. It was, when I was growing up, they would make these.
There's Warren.
They would make this pitch by pitch of different major league hitters, and it was a flip book. You can basically scroll through it and watch a guy swing. And I had Don Mattingly's one. Obviously, I was right-handed hitter, but a lot of his mechanics I tried to mimic as a young kid.
Charlie pops this foul out of play. He's 1 for 2.
And it was
Well, Donnie hit out of a crouch. You don't see many guys hit out of a crouch anymore.
And I hit out of a crouch from the ages of 10 to 12 because of Donnie Baseball.
I remember, was it 7 or 8? Don Mattingly hit a home run along with, I think, Don Long in 7 straight,
Yeah.
or was it 8 straight?
I think it was
games?
at 8. She might be right. It might be 7.
One or the other. Twitter universe will
Hold us to it.
hold us to it. Susan Strand is scrambling right now. We don't have Dougie with us to double check. This is on the ground to second, and it's another 1-2-3 inning. 2-0 Miami.
Go find a chicken.
Pretty though, the Marlins up 2-0 on the Rockies as we go to the bottom of the 6th inning. Chad Bettis will face Derek Dietrich, Starlin Castro, Brian Anderson. They're batting 2nd, 3rd, and 4th in Don Mattingly's lineup. And it was 8 consecutive games that Don Mattingly hit a home run in 1987. Ken Griffey Jr. also did it in July of '93. I said Don Long. Why did I say Don Long? Oh, Dale Long, not Don Long. Dale Long in the National League did it in 8 straight. So that's a major league record. Dale Long, Ken Griffey Jr., and Don Mattingly. Home run in 8 straight. Jim Thome did it in 7 straight. Barry Bonds did it in 7 straight. Barry had 2 other streaks of 6 straight games in which he homered. Here's the 1-2 on Dietrich. Fouled off.
Funny you bring up the name Barry Bonds. If you remember, Barry Bonds was a hitting instructor with the Marlins several years ago.
Just 2. And this is a broken bat foul ball. I don't
nice
think
play by a Rockies fan. Let's go. Fire up the team.
How about that little kid yesterday who made a great catch?
Another Rockies fan yesterday.
Yeah.
It's a nice play.
See, our young friend yesterday was flashing the leather. That guy, you know, just with the meat cleaver hands, right?
His big paws.
The big paws, the big mitts. See, these kids will always remember that. That's a great pitch. Backdoor cutter. Strike 3 on Dietrich. 4th strikeout for Chad.
That's a backdoor slider, well received by Tony Walters. Fielding Colbreth giving him the get out of Dodge.
Starlin Castro has twice hit it on the ground to 3rd. Somebody from the dugout yelled, "Nolan, your way twice." They do that in the big leagues, Billy?
Nope.
Not hitting it to you this time. He's hitting it to Story. Left side 3 times, Billy.
That's good. Yeah, you keep track of that. Bring your family and friends to the ballpark on Thursday, May 10th versus the Brewers to celebrate healthcare professionals. All healthcare ticket packages include a limited edition Rockies healthcare themed lanyard.
Brian Anderson at the plate. Not to be confused with our good friend, the outstanding broadcaster for the Milwaukee Brewers, Brian Anderson.
There's a couple Brian Andersons that are broadcasters. Former player, left-handed pitcher. He's with the Tampa Bay Rays. They should have them do a game together.
Brian, what do you think? Andy, what do you think? Every Anderson's nickname is Andy.
Imagine the Open. I'm Brian Anderson with Brian Anderson.
With Brian Anderson, I'm Brian Anderson. Oh, and 2 on
Brian Anderson.
Brian Anderson.
Could you imagine that interview? 3-way Brian Andersons?
I think we've exhausted this topic. 1 and 2.
I'm gonna look how many Brian Andersons there have been in Major League Baseball because
that's a good little chore for you right now.
Keep me occupied.
Yeah. Two balls, 2 strikes.
There's only been 3.
That's it. This is in foul ground, and a nice catch there by Ian Desmond running toward the stands as well. So a 1-2-3 inning, 7 in a row set down for Bettis, 2-0 Marlins.
Nothing at the top of the 7th inning. The first 10,000 fans through the gates for the Rockies Angels game on May 8th will receive a coupon for a Nathan's Famous $1 hot dog, which is really a sandwich.
No, it's really a hot dog.
That looks like
You ever
fun.
done that?
No.
Would you?
Yeah, I'd do that. That'd be awesome.
Time to get to work for the Rockies offense. They have 2 hits in this game. Ian Desmond has 1 of them. It came in the first inning. And he takes strike 1 from Caleb Smith, who for the first time in his career is throwing a baseball in the 7th inning. His previous career best was 6 innings in his last outing in Milwaukee.
Rockies have to score this inning. This is the meat of your lineup. The way that the offense has been working, this is your last chance to have this part of the lineup come up. 9 outs remaining. It's just not the grinded out at bats you want to see. 74 pitches from Caleb Smith. You can tip the cap, but at the same time, you have to put your foot down.
2-2. There was an interesting discussion taking place with Buddy Black this morning about approach and, you know, the old shortening up, and you touched on this a little bit, but hitters, you know, ballpark to ballpark, at bat to at bat, you know, you are who you are. It's not like, okay, we're at Marlins Park and it's really tough to hit the ball out of the yard here. You're still you're being you. Why don't you embellish that a little bit? Because I think sometimes people go, how come they don't choke up? How come they don't, you know, it's not that simple.
It's not that simple, but if you're looking and trying to figure out, well, how do you get out of this? You can increase focus. You can be real, especially at a field like this. Understand that the hits are going to come hitting the ball opposite field. You can't just try to hit a ball 500 feet because it's not going to travel. So if you know that, then you can be really fine with what pitches you're looking to swing at. And we see a lot of pitching staffs that play in ballparks similar to this. Seattle Mariners, San Diego Padres, San Francisco Giants.
Well, the Rockies, three teams in their division, they're accustomed to playing low-scoring games because, as you mentioned, Petco, Dodger Stadium, AT&T, where the Giants play, you're not going to typically put up a lot of runs. Another 3-2. And Desmond, a great at-bat. So he leads off the 7th with a walk. And that'll bring up Nolan.
See, that's the at-bat that you're talking about. A grinded out at-bat. He missed several pitches, but he didn't cave in. Wasn't an empty 1 or 2 pitch at bat. And again, it's until Caleb Smith proves it at the major league level for a long time, you can't give Caleb Smith too much credit.
That's a strike. Nolan a strikeout and a fly ball to shallow center. 0 for 8 in the series. And 2 strikes.
It's obvious that Nolan has not been able to pick up the baseball off Caleb Smith. Struck out in the first inning. With a defensive swing on that 1-strike pitch. I think there's a little bit of deception, a little bit of a short arm. The velocity has been jumping on the Rockies.
Nobody out, Desmond aboard. 2-strike count on Nolan. Story on deck. And he works under this to right field. Maben is out there. And there's 1 out. Story twice has hit the ball in the air to Dietrich in left. Good swing, 0-1. And 0-2. Just 84 pitches here through 6 1/3.
It's 18 strikeouts for Caleb Smith in the last 2 games that he's thrown. Only 1 walk.
Cloud cover right now. Spill, you pointed it out earlier, so visibility should be pretty good. Slowly hit to second, and they'll get Desmond there. And there'll be 2 outs for David Dahl.
And Rockies haven't had a base runner in scoring position today.
Two hits, Desmond in the first, Blackman leading off the fourth. The only other base runner, Desmond walked to lead off this inning. Dahl has struck out twice swinging.
Dahl is yet to get a hit against a left-hander on the season, 0 for 9. Against righties, he's 6 for 12.
That's in the zone, strike one. 1-1. Two and one.
Pitch is right off the Subaru strike zone. Dahl in a nice hitter's count, 2-1. First two at bats for David Dahl against Smith. He quickly fell behind in 2 strikes.
Story gets a look at first. And 3-1. Dahl trying to pass the baton to Noel Cuevas. Three and two.
That's a well-located 3-1 fastball right at the outer edge of the Subaru strike zone. Pitch that I think Dahl could handle, but it looked like he was trying to drive a baseball. Whole left side of the field wide open for David Dahl.
Story will be off, 3 and 2. And for the 3rd time, Smith has struck out Dahl, his 9th strikeout of the afternoon. Middle of 7, Marlins up 2-0. UC Hell. So you want to know why Nolan's so good? Well, there's numerous reasons, but one of the reasons, he practices relentlessly, and he practices some of the really tough plays that he may get in a game, like this one last night. And that's why, with his routine, he makes that look routine. Our Rocky routine presented by UC Health. Rockies would love to rock a few hits. This has been tough to watch this weekend. Rockies have just 2 runs for 2 2/3 worth of baseball. They're down 2-0, bottom of the 7th inning. Cameron Maybin, Miguel Rojas, Lewis Brinson against Chad Bettis. Bettis has retired 7 in a row as he gets set to face Maben. Bettis has typically been just ridiculously good against the NL East. And his personal record's 8-1. That's off the charts clearly, but the Rockies have won 13 out of his 15 starts against the NL East. And he's pitched a very good ball game today.
It's been great. 2-strike hit to Brinson. A home run to Rojas is the only blemishes on the day, and that's not on Chad. I mean, the offense has to show up at some point to take some of the pressure off the pitchers.
May have been a deep drive to left that Dahl made a very nice running catch on. And a pop to second.
Hey.
1-1. How many umpires, Billy, and you knew them all, actually used the word strike?
That's a great question. Maybe 50% of them.
You think that many?
Yeah.
It's usually like, hey.
Ha.
Huh. I mean, listen to Fielding.
Hey.
Yeah.
There's a yep. Now is Tim McClellan. Yep.
Tim McClellan, but that was 5 minutes after the ball crossed the plate. 2-2. Down low. And Chad walks Maben. That's his first walk issued of the ball game. He's nearing the 100-pitch mark. Now you got speed to deal with at first. You got to figure Rojas, the way the Rockies have struggled to score, coupled with his ballpark, 6 outs left offensively for Colorado. They'll probably play for a run here.
We'll see. Rojas ran into the change at first pitch for a homer in the 4th inning. See if Donnie Baseball will give Rojas at least a pitch. Let your hitter have one pitch to try to see if he can pick one out that he can handle.
Maben second in the American League last year in stolen bases. So you got to keep a couple of eyes on him.
You can't forget the stolen base he had in the World Series.
Strike, and now Rojas is going to stare down Freddie Gonzalez. Freddie's looking at Don Mattingly for signs, and now he's going to relay him, former Atlanta Braves manager. Freddie worked here also. Oh, 0-2.
Good off-speed pitch by Bettis right at the bottom of the super strike zone. A bit of a slide step with Cameron Maben getting a very big lead at first.
Just off the play, 1-2. You know, when Freddie Gonzalez was the manager of the Marlins, he had a couple of seasons where they were above 500. In fact, one year they won 87 games. I think he always looked upon himself as a brave, and Bobby Cox thought so highly of him, and for good reason. Went back to Atlanta.
They've had good managers here.
Yes, they have.
I mean, part of it is the organization and the previous people before it. Don't forget, Joe Girardi was here. Ozzie Guillen, whatever you think about him. Mike Redmond. Freddie Gonzalez. Jack McKeon. A lot of great names in baseball. Jim Leland.
Strike three on the inside corner. And that upset Miguel Rojas.
You better be careful. The way he's acting right now, you're going to get tossed out.
And trying to jump in there quickly is the youngster, Lewis Brinson.
I do appreciate Fielder Colbreth at least allowing him to change up. That's well received, well located. Typically after something like that, doing the hand. See, that's a healthy discussion.
Fifth strikeout. It is a healthy discussion, and you know what? I am with you. I give Field and Colbreth a lot of credit, because sometimes when you see that kind of reaction, it's a very quick hook. Now, I think if he hung around for another 5-10 seconds, he was about to get run.
If you throw a bat, you use a bad word. I get it. But letting a player be frustrated, this game has a lot of pressure on it. Take a pitch inside where you see it one way, another guy sees it differently. Why can't you just share with him? I don't agree with you.
Big jump, and the throw to second, still got him. What a throw by Tony Walters. And I'm telling you what, that was quite a jump by Maben.
Maybe it's one of the better base runners in baseball as far as the last couple of years getting stolen bases. We mentioned earlier he had a huge stolen base in the World Series for the 2017 World Series champs, the Houston Astros. But paying attention to how quick Tony Walters is with his feet work in the exchange, it's not even close. Check out how quick his feet are.
Boy, that is a thing of beauty. I love watching catchers throw. I love what you just described, because it's not all about arm strength. His transition is just lightning quick. 2 outs, 2-1 on Brinson. Bounce foul, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Rockies in the 8th inning, running out of time. They'll have Cuevas, Valleca, and Walters scheduled. Drew Steckenrider has been throwing in the Miami pen. Center field and fairly deep. Charlie's out there, and he'll make the catch. So we move to the 8th inning. 2-0 Miami. the top of the 8th inning. Noel Cuevas will lead it off. The Rockies have been held to just 2 hits this afternoon, and yesterday they had 4 hits. So you're wondering, at Marlins Park, in a 4-game series, 3 times the fewest number of hits they've had, and this by far is the least. Well, the good news is the Rockies don't have to face Caleb Smith anymore. He went a career best 7 innings, struck out 9. 7 shutout innings. Drew Steckenrider, who pitched a scoreless 8th inning yesterday, is now in the ball game. Big right-hander out of Atlanta, and Gerardo Parra is going to pinch hit for Noel Cuevas.
Steckenrider, 4-pitch mix, fastball about 94 miles an hour, a changeup, cutter, and a slider. Pay attention. First pitch strikes less than 50%. So if you're looking for the Rockies to get some base runners on, this could be your guy.
Well, the last 2 games for Caleb Smith, he has struck out 19 and walked 1. Over just 13 innings. And Parra went. It's 0-2. Steckenrider from Atlanta, went to the University of Tennessee, was a Marlins 8th-round selection in 2012. Inside.
I often hear, whenever you see slow offenses or not a lot of offense, that a complaint from fans is, well, the team lacks energy. That's not the case. There's plenty of energy in the clubhouse. Just no offense usually carries you down.
And there's some offense. A base hit for Parra off the bench, behind in the count. The Rockies' 3rd of the day. And that'll bring up Pat Valaika.
It's hard to be hooting and hollering in a clubhouse when you're not getting any runs, not getting any hits.
Baseball so frequently, Spilly, is described as a grind, the individual grind of the season, the grind of an at-bat when things aren't going well. And how about inside a game? Try to grind your way to a victory. This one will never be described as pretty, but if the Rockies can somehow score 3 runs here in the last couple of innings and quote-unquote steal a win, it'll look all the same later on.
This is the bullpen to do it too. If you're looking at bullpen ERA, 28th in baseball.
Line out and a strikeout today for Pat. And Valaika fouls this off. You made mention of this a couple of innings ago. It's a beautiful day down here, but the Rockies have been fortunate. The last couple of innings, Spilly, when they've come to the plate, there's been cloud cover.
We noticed it for Rojas. Rojas had cloud cover when he hit his home run. Same with Lewis Brinson. Shadows went away, had cloud cover, hit the ball opposite field. It's ideal if you're hitting right now. These are great conditions.
And Valaika is out number 1 in the 8th. That'll bring up Tony Walters with Ryan McMahon moving to the on-deck circle.
Rockies baseball is always live with the MLB At Bat mobile app. Stay connected all season with broadcast video highlights, stats, news, and more.
Tony a line out and sharp ground out to second. Parra at first, 1 out. Steckenrider, like so many guys, very athletic. He was a successful hitter in high school. In fact, his senior year of high school, when he was on his way to Tennessee. He thought he was going to be a position player. He hit close to 500 in high school. And then at Tennessee, they had some injuries on the mound. That's a strike. Somebody suggested that he throw a couple of bullpens. He hit 97 in one of his bullpens. They said, well, you're going to stay on the mound.
97.
Hit 97. He hit 100 in the Arizona Fall League.
He's a big frame, 6'4", 240. The kid last night was lights out. Guerrero, 6'8", throwing 101.
Yep, he went 100, 101 yesterday. 0-2, and Walters hangs tough. Well, Chad did his thing. 2 runs over 7 innings, just 4 hits. Strike 3. 2 outs. 11th time the Rockies have had to make a right turn this afternoon, and Ryan McMahon will pinch hit here for Bettis, with Parra still standing at first.
And this is where that Rockies offense gets so exposed, is in a game like tonight when you're watching 11 strikeouts. It just continues to take down that batting average with 2 strikes, 30th in Major League Baseball. You'd like to see the ball in play. See a Marlins defense that is not known for being sure-handed.
Well, for the first time in the history of the sport, in the month of April, and this would count for any month, in the month of April, there are going to be more strikeouts across Major League Baseball than hits. That has never happened before. Last year, for the 10th straight year, Major League Baseball set a new record for number of strikeouts. And this year, there was more than 40,000. This year, we're already on pace for more than 43,000. Two strikes on McMahon.
One way to solve it is stop having these guys throw so hard.
Red Smith many years ago said the most perfect thing in sport, I'm paraphrasing now, is 90 feet between bases. Well, we're at 60 feet 6 inches. At some point in time, are they going to say, you know what, they probably got to move the mound back? I'm only being maybe a quarter serious, but the philosophy has changed. Offensively, we talk about launch angles and home runs incessantly. And on the mound, it's not sink or slider anymore. It's guys who can blow you away. And McMahon is gone. The Rockies strike out 3 times in a row after the Parra pinch single. We'll go to the bottom of the 8th. It remains 2-0 Miami. pitching performance. Well, Caleb Smith was outstanding. 7 shutout innings. The Rocky just 2 singles against him. 9 strikeouts and a walk in a very efficient 91 pitches. Chad Bettis was very good too, but unfortunately, he's on the wrong side right now. 2 runs, 4 hits over 7 innings for Chad. 5 strikeouts, 1 walk. Parra straight up as he pinch hit for Cuevas. The only difference is Parra goes to left field. Dahl, who was in left, goes to right where Cuevas was playing. Brian Holiday, the catcher, against Brian Shaw. Cutter for strike 1. Forget the ERA when you look at Brian Shaw's numbers. Coming off a strong outing in his last appearance. And that was a dandy slider.
You know, what we've noticed is that the fastball velocity for Shaw is starting to creep up. 92, 93 miles an hour we've seen in Colorado. Part of that, I think, has to do with the cold. Once he gets that cutter up to 95.
Well, his cutter's been averaging right at 94.
We've seen the couple hiccups that he's had. The pitches have been velocity-wise down a tick.
He's ahead 1-2 on Holiday. That's the slider, and it's 2-2. He bounced out of the clubhouse this morning, Spilly, with his brand new Denver Bronco football in his hand to get loose.
It's an amazing story. That's an incomplete pass.
That's an incomplete pass. Had some mustard on it, though, at 96.
Yeah.
And he loses Brian Holiday. J.B. Shuck's going to pinch hit here in the pitcher's spot. There's Brad Ziegler. Shuck lays down a bunt, and it's going to be too good. Didn't feel that way when he laid it down, that they wouldn't even have a play at first. But now you got a little mess going. First and second, nobody out in the top of the order coming up.
Leadoff walk. Puts down the bunt. And that's what happened to Tony. He reached back to try to get it, and he wasn't able to get off out of his crouch. The way that Brian Shaw falls off towards the third base side, even though the bunt was bunted almost directly at him. It's almost like he couldn't get out of his crouch from the mound either.
It'll go as a base hit. 5th hit for the Marlins. Now Shaw will have to be special to keep the Marlins from adding on. Realmuto at the plate, 1 for 3, a single back in the 3rd. The only extra base hit in this game was a Miguel Rojas home run just over the left field wall. That came in the 4th inning with 2 outs. That's the cutter, Spilly, that has been hit hard at times against Brian this year. The cutter that's elevated out over the plate to right-handed hitters.
Yeah, you want to see it more down in the zone. That's where it breaks the bats. That's where you get the hitters to jump out of the way, freeze, anything up.
He's behind 3-1. Dietrich on deck. And now the bases are loaded. 2 walks and a bunt that the Rockies couldn't get to. And you have a major problem. You have to pull the infield in. Derek Dietrich at the plate, and that's inside. He's missing glove side with that cutter, and now Mike Dunn is trying to get ready in a hurry. He's explained it before, Spilly. Glove side, he gets so much movement. And it's 2-0 that sometimes it looks good out of the hand and it cuts way out of the zone. He's usually able to make the adjustment. Get the ball back arm side where he can work it in the zone. But he's struggling with command right now. 2-0, bases loaded.
I mean, velocity is there for him. His arm feels great. He's throwing 95 to 97 miles an hour, but the cutter and being able to repeat his mechanics, he throws a bit across his body.
Story's almost right up the middle, but in. Lake on the grass. That's a strike. Again at 95, 2-2. Holiday at third does not run well. Two, got him. Came all the way back and blew him away at 97. That may be the hardest pitch we have seen this year from Brian Shaw. 1 out.
He's starting to find his mechanics, putting the baseball where he wants it. Walters set up outside, wants it up, gets it outside and up.
I think Tony's making that adjustment because of where Brian was missing. Just setting up on the arm side. Now Starlin Castro. He's grounded out 3 times. Rockies back it up the middle to turn 2 conventionally, and that's a strike at 97. To right, Dahl circling. Holiday coming down the line. Throw is in time, but not handled by Walters. The throw was right there, and Tony may have looked to tag too quickly. We'll see that, or maybe it short hopped him. I thought he got it there in the air, and it was in time. 3-0 Miami.
Tailor-made ball for an outfielder to make a throw towards home plate. And it is a little bit of a short hop. Dahl does a good job getting behind the baseball. There's times where you rather give the long hop for the catcher. It makes it a lot easier for them to receive the baseball. This one, he tries to get it the entire way there.
That's a tough break because the ball beat him.
Ball beat him.
The ball beat him. It would have been an inning-ending double play. Instead, it's another run for the Marlins. A sac fly for Castro. Holiday scores. Shuck tagged and moved to third. But he's not taking Brian's shot. It's almost as if he went to the mound to have a meeting with Field and Colbreth. That was, to me, that was a great throw by Dahl. Oh, that's what this is about.
So what are you going to do?
See how they were they appealing again?
They're appealing that that he missed the original plate when he slid towards home.
But then Tony tagged him. He dove on him.
And I believe that the hand was safe before. Let's take a look.
Yeah, but then he dove on him.
So here's the original.
Let's see if he touches here. I don't know.
I don't think he
That's
touches.
the old Matt Holliday deal.
But then I think he gets in the second time.
That's way outside. But my point is, then why would you appeal and touch home plate? Because again, Tony dove on him and obviously tagged him in the back. And clearly the second time he touched home plate. Two 2-0 on Brian Anderson.
So that was a 2-strike walk to Holliday that comes back to bite the rocks.
Well, there's 2 walks in that inning.
Well, talking about the leadoff one.
Yeah. Pat Valleca has it. Rockies with a lot of work to do. They're down 3-0 as we go to the top of the 9th inning in South Florida. Well, the bad news is, fellas, the Rockies are down 3-0. The potential good news is Brad Ziegler, who's asked to close this game for Don Mattingly, has really struggled this year. He has an ERA of 8.44. Now, again, with relievers, I'm not a big ERA guy, especially in April, but in 10 2/3, Billy, he's given up 11 runs on 16 hits. And that is fair. Unfortunately, 1 out. So Blackman retired. He has 1 of the 3 hits for the Rockies today. That'll bring up Ian Desmond. He has a hit and a walk. Who wants tacos? Fans, follow us at AT&T Sportsnet RM on Twitter to receive alerts for the Rockies taco special when the Rockies score 7 in a game. Desmond takes a strike. One and one. Rocky's familiar with Ziegler from his years with Arizona. 1 and 2. Came up with the A's. Time in Boston. Last year with Miami, he saved 10 games in 16 opportunities. So not a great ratio.
Sinker ball pitcher, submarine, you have to get a ball up. Having faced Ziegler many times, just has natural, because of his arm action. You look at spin rates, one of the lowest spin rates in baseball for a reason. That's what allows the baseball to travel downward. Originally was a pitcher in the Oakland A's organization that threw overhand. I've teased about Ziegler being one of the last people I thought as a ball player facing him. It's a strikeout looking at Ian Desmond that he would have a nearly over 10-year career, major league career.
13th strikeout by the Rockies this afternoon. Slider on the inside corner at the knees. 2 outs, nobody on for Arenado. Nolan 0 for 3 today, 0 for 9 in the series. And quickly a 2-strike count. And Nolan serves it to right for a base hit. Keep the Rockies' hopes alive. That'll bring up Story.
First hit of the series for Nolan in Miami. It's like a slider down and away. One who's been doing this throughout the season, punching it into right field.
Here's where that run was so big last inning. Instead of a 2-run deficit, it's a 3-run deficit. You can think, well, Story runs into one, you got a tie ball game. Story's got to reach and give David Dahl a chance. One and one. Oh for 3 today. Brought a 7-game hitting streak into the ballpark today, which he has hit .360. 1-2.
Marlins starting to get multiple relievers warmed up.
They did this yesterday when Bear Claw closed. It won't matter. Story strikes out, and the Rockies fall 3-0. Well, the series started nicely for the Rockies in that they won 1-0 on Friday. But then the last 2 days, dismal for Colorado, and really more of the same. They continue to struggle in South Florida. They have lost 14 of their last 18 ball games down here in Miami. And the Rockies strike out 14 times, and they produce only 4 singles on a Sunday afternoon. They'll have to push delete and move on to Chicago, where they'll open up a 3-game set tomorrow at Wrigley against the Cubs. Once again, the final score from Miami.